since you guys are talking about how much you guys have already had to drink, and I'm just like basically my BAC is virgin level right now. I don't have anything in my system, so I grabbed uh, a hazy IPA, like on par with myself, and a Pacifico. So I think I'm going to start with which should I start with? Chat.
Ooh,
Uh,
start
I think
ease
hazy.
into it.
I
Yeah.
don't say hazy IPA. I think that's.
Okay, yeah.
That's a harder kick, so I think
Yeah,
I'm going to
that
start
is.
there.
And then you can ride out the Pacifico.
Oh,
You're
I
right.
like it. I like that idea. Why? What are you having?
I have a Dos Equis that I'm almost done with, but in reserve I have a my flask filled with Frangelico, and then a Stella Artois. And to open it, I have Sarah has a United Launch Agency bottle opener, so
Oh, sick.
I'm borrowing that for the night.
Nice.
Very,
And what
very
about
well.
you, Mr. Sullivan?
Oh, I stocked my fridge with Miller Lights.
All right.
But you know
A
what I
simple
call
man.
them? They're actually called Sex on the Beach. Do you know why?
Why is that?
Because it's fucking close to water.
Hey, welcome, folks.
Hey, that's excellent.
Yeah, we'll be here all night. That was good, Sully. That was really good.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, magnificent! What a way to kick this off.
Yeah, what an absolute
gonna-
way.
I'm going to use that. So
Please do. Yeah, it's great. You got to use it. It'll get some laughs, every now and then.
Yeah, it's
Wyatt, are we rolling? Are we like doing this thing?
yeah, we're rolling. We're rolling.
All right, very well. Well, then let's christen it with this quick sound.
Oh,
Nice.
All right.
nice.
Fantastic. I really hope the mic picked that up well.
Oh, I got that. Don't worry.
Fantastic.
Gentlemen,
Wyatt,
Prost.
Prost, yeah, Prost. I wish I like clink my bottles together so we get like. Hope that picked up. But I'll get us kicked off here, folks. So honestly, I love the atmosphere right now. I love the vibes, and I think it's perfect for what we were talking about over text before this. But like, just finding like positivity, among other things in our everyday life. So, boys, outside of drinking online with friends, what are y'all doing to find little positivity in y'all's lives?
Matthew,
Ian, take her
that.
away.
No. You start off, my friend.
Oh, me? Okay. Well, yeah, I guess the obvious is this Miller Lite right now. That's a very positive moment in my life. But I think it's been well, here in Colorado at least, as you know, it's been snowing quite a bit. And something I've always kind of take for granted, or I don't realize I enjoy, is just those moments you get to sit back, relax, and know that there's nothing for you to do. And it's kind of freeing to realize, like, hey, wow, I'm out of something to do, but it's kind of nice, So can't really drive anywhere, can't go anywhere, can't do anything outside. I've pretty much done my work for inside, done what I needed to do. And I remember, let's see, last night, I think it's last night, just I sat on my couch and I was like, well, I am out of something to do. And then I remembered one of my favorite quotes: time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time. So you know what I did? I sat there and wasted about 30 minutes of my life, and it never felt so good.
Nice.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I love that. Y'all got what, like 7 inches of snow?
Yeah, give or take, so about 7 inches. Most of it's gone, actually. Well, on the streets are gone now, but it'll probably stay packed in the yards for a little bit. But
Yeah.
it's dry. It's at least drivable in the area.
Okay, that's
Thank
good.
goodness.
That's good.
Yeah,
Drivable in
but
your Jeep.
good amount of snow. Yeah. Oh,
That's
but,
awesome. What's the temperature there, son?
it's nice and warm. It's in the 30s. I know this past week it got down to like, let's see, Monday was -8, Tuesday was -6, then it creeped up into the 20s, and then and so it snowed last weekend too. So the same snow that we had since last week just got covered again. But today was I think the first day, or yesterday was the first day it got above freezing, which was so pleasant, so pleasant. I will say, I forgot what it was like. I haven't seen liquid rain in months, so that'll be an exciting sight come in a month or two.
That's poetic.
Oh.
Sully, something that I love that you started that with was recognizing the beverage in your hand. I think talking about the things that make us happy in life, the social inhibitions that are released by just libations in hand and the fluids are flowing. There's a quote that I was exposed to this week by a gentleman named Henry Lawson. What Henry Lawson did in life, Lord knows, and unless you're Mrs. Lawson, who cares? But Henry Lawson said, "Beer makes you feel the way you ought to feel without beer." And I really think that that's magical. And right now, just sitting here with you guys virtually across 3 separate states and 2 separate time zones. Why are we in the same time zone? Or are
Yeah,
you in
we're,
Eastern?
we're I'm at. Oh, are you in Central?
I'm in Central.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Okay, yeah, I'm in Eastern.
Wow. So across 3 different states and 3 different time zones. Yeah, I'm on the very edge of Eastern.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, of Central. Eastern is over in Panama City, about 2 hours away.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, starting off with the beverages in hand, and when you're sitting with friends around the proverbial fireside, as we are, having a drink in hand is something that can make us smile. So that's one thing that never fails to improve my mood.
And if
Um,
only we were back in like the 1920s, and we could smoke indoors. I mean, I'd be ripping a cigar
Right.
right now if the wife wouldn't kill me. So,
Yeah, of course.
of course.
Ian, I love your
Ball and
quote. But now that you gave a quote, I have to interject one more quote about beer. It's one of my favorites.
Please.
As any good Catholic boy, I have to know Saint Arnold. And Saint Arnold, he said, "From man's sweat and God's love, beer came into the world."
I
Beautiful.
like that a lot. I like that a lot. Something else I think about our topic that we're thinking about here, and positivity. And when we take a step to be positive in our lives, it takes some effort, right? Because we all made a choice about what we were going to drink tonight while we were recording this with each other. We made a choice in the first place to sit down and record this, and those are steps that just push us down the right path of how are we going to spend our evening? How is it going to be memorable? What are we going to do that's going to, if not better a number of people's lives, better our lives by having conversation with each other? So there's all sorts of little decisions that you can make, and your life is an addition problem of all the moments in your life. And as we talk about things that keep us positive, I just am thankful that I have you guys in my life to have a conversation like this with, and a place that we can talk about all sorts of stuff and reminisce and just talk a bunch of crap and record it for posterity and drink some good beer.
Yeah, I don't think I could have said that better myself. Absolutely. And one of the thoughts that I've been mulling over since we texted, in being positive, because sometimes like I know like I can be pretty negative. Like I think generally I could be like pessimistic. But I've been trying to work on that recently. And I think one of the roots of positivity is gratitude. I think it's a lot easier to be positive in your life if you take a moment, maybe every morning, every day or so, and just say thanks for the things around you. Like, I know we aren't around a real campfire and smoking cigars and drinking together, but the fact that we can even still do this is awesome. I mean, I think, if we were, 50 years ago, we couldn't do this. But here we are now able to do this. And I love that. And I'm so grateful for the fact that technology is where it's at. The fact that beer is universal and it's easy to get for all of us to be sipping on here. And I love that. But yeah, so gratitude has been something on my mind recently. So thankful for you boys, and thankful for this.
Why? Yeah, damn, y'all are really going all out beauty on me tonight. Both two great monologues. All right, well, I guess I gotta say my piece of thanks. But you did bring up something interesting. Here's my nerdy topic though. That you made me think about that was how you're thankful for the technology to connect us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's always really interesting because going back to like a little bit of pessimism and negativity. Mostly when you hear people talk about technology, it's typically like Debbie Downer, oh, it's taking over the world, it's disconnecting people, it's causing people not to be social. But clearly, we can find a good, also just a great use for it where we can connect and we can smile and laugh and drink and communicate and have a good time. And I love that. I love how we can take something that most of the world might say, oh, this is causing you unhappiness, and yet, hey, we can make it pretty work for us pretty damn well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Everything is okay in moderation. I really think that, well, with some exceptions, I think most things are okay in moderation. And
yeah, let me sip on my beer a little bit more.
Yeah, there you go. And there's of course plenty of arguments you would make against all sorts of technology things that are all within the arm's reach of all three of us right now. There's plenty of bad statements and arguments that can be made about any of these things, but we're able to, like I said earlier, 3 states, 3 time zones, we're able to have this conversation right now, and we're able to connect and reminisce, and I feel like honestly we're in Waco, Texas, on the back porch of someone's apartment right now, smoking and joking. It feels the same way.
Oh yeah,
Almost.
for sure.
Gosh,
No,
an
I
ode to
completely
be
agree.
back. Ian,
well,
and this
yeah.
is horrifying. This year we are going to be out of college as long as we were in college.
Whoa.
That's horrifying. And Sully, that's coming up. That's coming up for you.
Yeah, I was in college for 4 years. Yeah, it's coming up.
So, that's something that
Oh.
that I think we can, in one regard, be negative about. And I think when I first thought about that, which was actually earlier this year, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like we're right on that milestone. And it made me kind of sad and maybe nostalgic in a sad way if y'all get that picture. Like it's like, dang, like all those fun times I had. But that's actually what kind of spurred me to be grateful because, in spite of the fact that, like, gosh, I'm getting old, I'm so glad that I was able to have all of those great memories with y'all and with everybody at college. So, in one regard, it's sad, but also I take all those great experiences and know that they grew me, and I hope that they grew y'all as well. And I think of the time I've spent beyond college and just, I learned so much there that's able to help me out daily now. So anyways, just wanted to share that little anecdote.
No, I love it. It's and to your point of gratefulness, something else I'm grateful for, and the time, though you can look back and say, oh, it's been so many years, I would argue that even to be the most grateful thing in the world is the fact that we are all still great friends and we can do this. And, it's been longer now that we've been away from each other than we've known each other. And yet we can still have this beautiful conversation and this fellowship together. I love that. It's beautiful.
No, I think that's a great and beautiful way of looking at it.
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, that we've doubled the amount of time since we were in college, and now we're approaching, what's this, year 4 and going into the rest of our lives, and we can honestly say we're in a group of friends for life, and we're enacting that with the first 4 years out and going forward. And it's why I've had the same thoughts that you were saying, reminiscing about that and almost feeling depressing in a way. And it's easy to let it think that way, but it's just the marching of time, and that can be upsetting sometimes to think about.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like people my entire life have said life only picks up the pace as you move on, and I've experienced that to be true. It's like I myself, I am closer now to 30 than 20. Just that simple fact is it took some time to set in, and it's like, wow, I'm like in the middle of middle adult is what it feels like, and it's weird to think about that, because I think about how, like, my grandfather lived to be 101, and I think about where I'm at in life. I'm at, like, a lot of things will be going right if I make it to 101, and who knows if I even want to make it to 101. But if I do, then I'm a quarter of the way through. And life expectancy in the United States is what, mid to high 70s. If that's our metric, then I'm like a third of the way through. So it's life goes on, and it only picks up the pace. But easing the pain of it going by is surrounding yourself with good people, and I think that's what we have here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Completely.
yeah, what a great group. And on the note of aging, just because I've I've had very similar thoughts. I was talking to a friend from high school actually about that, and I was like, dang, dude, like, I. If you're like 25, 26, you're firmly in your mid 20s, and people are like, yeah, you're young. I feel like once you start to hit 27, and going on there, you're like, oh, that's like late 20s. And at first I was like upset about that, but like, I saw something the other day, and it kind of changed my perspective. It was like, if you wish that like right now you could go back and be like 18 or something, that's one thing. But try to imagine yourself as like 90 and like wishing you were like 27 again, like what you wouldn't give for that. So
Right.
I think just the message of just like, you're never going to be younger than you are right now. So like use that, and then like just live life like that. Like there's no need to be like sad and reminiscing about like, gosh, when I was 18, the fact that I was 17 was 10 years ago, right? But like just live like you're young, because it's true, you never are younger than you are in this moment, in the next. So just something to think about. But yeah, no, I think there's definitely ways where people could be negative about that, but I think the real challenge and the real aspiration is to put that positive twist on it.
That's
And
excellent.
positivity itself will extend life.
Sure,
God,
absolutely.
if I can remember it, there's a beautiful Latin quote. Ampliat etate spatium sibi ver bonus, ho est vivere bis vita posse priore frui. The good man extends the period of his life. It is to live twice, to enjoy with satisfaction the retrospect of our past life. And so essentially, what the Romans were onto there, though, and I'm sure they knew their stuff, was that yeah, if you live a good life with positivity and really look to those fun moments, when you look back, like we all, even Ian, you mentioned it, Wyatt, you mentioned it, we look back and we smile at the moments we've had. You're reliving those good memories. So the trick is not to sit there and look back with, like, oh, I won't have it again, but to look back knowing that it's a source of joy and happiness that we can continue to go back to.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we get to relive those moments over. I would argue that you can relive your life 3 or 4 times to those good memories.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But
It's a fantastic.
anyway, got me speaking Latin over here. God damn.
And I was about to say,
I
I am impressed that you could just like memorize that, or like have that like recalled off the dome. That was impressive.
Wyatt, come on.
Oh, that's
Living
awesome.
with Matthew for as long as I did, I was giggling when he started spouting off in Latin, but I was anything but surprised.
Yeah.
It's just the caliber of gentleman we're speaking with.
Oh Lord. I will say it
Exactly.
is it is a good thing that the 3 of us never did live together, because we would not have ever slept. Like there would not have been.
Yeah, there's no
moment of
sleeping,
sleep.
no homework. I'm surprised y'all got anything done. Y'all two being together. Dang. Yeah, no, that's yeah, that would have been, man. I don't know what we would have drank a lot. We would have smoked a lot.
Yeah, we
Maybe we might be able to memorize our life a couple times, past, just with all the memories we would have made. But man, we would have smoked a couple years off too. So,
Jeez, yeah.
That's basically what Matthew and I did together.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a few Cuban rejects.
Oh man,
Oh, I haven't
that,
heard that phrase in a long time.
not the I was just thinking about Cuban rejects the other day, and of course that brought up memories, that whole Yellowstone trip that we went on, Sully.
That episode.
Yeah, that quick little episode. Dang. Yeah, no. Oh, what a time. What a time. And I'm glad that we have all these memories together. And I'm excited to see what the future holds. I know it's a bit harder, obviously, for us to get together, but I'm confident we'll make something work sometime, and we'll be able to see all each other.
We're making something work right now.
Yeah, I say true. Yeah, I mean, we're
Right.
making it work right now. Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting also how, just sitting here thinking about what you said, Wyatt, about how we're approaching, or we're at the point where we've been out of college as long as we were in college. The past 4 years being out of college feels like it's just flown by.
Yeah.
And our time in college comparatively felt slow.
Mhm.
And I, I don't know. Looking back on it, like in some ways it feels like it flew by, but really it just felt like it was a routine for 4 years, and we got so involved in that routine that we just settled into it. And since we've been out, there's been all sorts of things that have been happening to each of us, and life feels like it's picking up, and it's moving faster. And I think possibly part of the reason that it was so stable and slow back then was because we had constants in our lives for those 4 years. Like you two being good friends of mine, or Wyatt, we were good friends for pretty much all those 4 years.
Yeah,
Sully
yeah, like all
showed up
four.
the next year, but basically my point is pretty much all of our time in college we had a moderately consistent circle, um, and a moderately consistent area of buildings and land area that we would spend our time on, and so that familiarity probably left us with that time moving slower, and now we're just all of us are in a more dynamic uh, lifestyle,
Hmm.
and that's probably part of the reason why it doesn't feel like we've been out of college as long as we ran it, but um, yeah, life accelerates.
Yeah, it sure does, and I think just to the point I was making earlier, like we just got to live it. Every day's a gift from the big man upstairs, and so we just got to accept that opportunity, and whatever qualms we had of yesterday, just leave them there as much as you can, and just accept the gift of the next day. Because yeah, you're right, it does move. I completely agree. It almost feels like those 4 years were in slow motion. Like sometimes I just can't believe that like we're here now from there. But we sure are. Just because, well, here we are. So it's
Well,
yeah.
and it's scientific too in the way that works is because the older you get, like as you age, 1 year becomes such a small, like a smaller and small, increasingly smaller part of your life,
Hmm.
and that's the 1 year moves by so quick. So when we were 20, 1 year was a whole 20th of our life. But when we get to be 30, then it's only a 30th of our life, and you move on and on. And that's why, time is always going to go by faster and faster. It's going to be a crescendo of just years flying by. Well, yeah, because so the trick there, if I might be a philosopher, is to make sure that every year we have, we try our best to fill it with more and more. People think that, oh no, you do the same thing. No, I would argue that the whole journey of life is the struggle really is filling each subsequent year with even more than the year before, because that's the only way that you're going to at least extend your life, so to speak, or prevent the inflation of your years,
Hmm.
is to do your best to fill your current year with more than you did last year, which is kind of opposite of what most people would think.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way of looking at it, or at least continuing to fill your years with something engaging, um, because if you're stuck in a place where it's like same old, like that might not be the best for you long term. So no,
No,
I
not
agree
at
there.
all.
That's true. What are some things that you gentlemen have filled your most filled this past year with, as far as new engaging hobbies?
King, you want to lead us off, Mr. Packard?
I'll say one thing that like that's just been a life change. I'm sure that y'all are obviously tracking, but is being married. That has
Yeah,
been
Yeah.
a very new experience. Honestly, I think like Sarah and I have just loved it. People talk about that first year of marriage being really hard, and maybe it is for them. I don't want to discount that experience, but so far, like pretty much so good. I mean, of course, we'll have a couple bumps in the road every now and then, but um, by and large, like our first year, knock on wood, has been has been great. We've really just enjoyed our time together, and we've gone through some pretty stressful things. Like we got married, we had a 2 week honeymoon, and then we moved right
yeah,
after that. Then we had to buy a house. Like that was stressful, and that finally concluded, and we're good there. But like there was a while we lived for like a month in a hotel, and then like a week plus at like a friend's house, and that was just like that period of uncertainty and like of course bidding on houses, like that was all very stressful. But we're finally settled in now, and it's been really good. Um, yeah, I mean, really can't complain there. But that's just been a one of those just like learning experiences, and I'm so glad I'm able to, it's almost like life has gotten like a new color to it. Just being able to share it so intimately with a person I love. I've just really appreciated that. Outside of that, though, honestly, something that takes up a lot of my time and something I've kind of turned into a hobby is my master's degree. So in one regard, you could be pretty negative about getting an online master's while you're working, because I spend all day essentially staring at a computer, and then I come home and then I spend all night staring at a computer again. But in another regard, like I know that I'm getting my master's in anthropology, and that's I know that that's growing me. In my studies, which I hope to use both in my work and then outside of it one day as well. So I've kind of turned that, like I've had to do a lot of reading. Week one of the class I'm in right now, they made us read parts of the Communist Manifesto, which isn't something that I ever thought I would read, but it was honestly, it was good to read, as it's kind of like horizon broadening. You get more of a good perspective. So this professor that we had has a whole bunch of bad reviews and whatnot, but honestly, I kind of just like leaned into it, and so far, like I'm doing great in the class. I actually like the professor, and it's so far so good. So I think it's kind of turning situations like that could be stressful, like a class or like a buying a house and stuff, and trying to look at that a bit more positively has been pretty good as well.
How are you enjoying the Communist Manifesto? I remember when I read it, I was like, "Oh wow." It really makes you think, though, doesn't it?
I think it's a really good counterpoint to the world that we live in, as in like a lot of us aren't thinking about the opposite, essentially, of I'll just say American capitalism, noting that other forms of that could be valid to put in there. Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting, and some of the ideas, like on the surface, like aren't necessarily bad ideas. One of the ideas I found interesting in the Communist Manifesto was the actually, this might have been Das Kapital. It was one of those, but
Nice.
it was essentially the idea that like removing society's labels on what you do for, and I'm putting this in quotation marks, like work, because in Marx's conception, he didn't think of like one day you could go fish and one day you could go hunt, another day you could build something out of wood, but you wouldn't be labeled like a fisherman, a hunter, or a carpenter.
Right.
You're just free to do what you wanted, which I think is all great in theory, but I think that's super, super hard to implement in practice.
And I would argue that digresses back because civilization was all about specialization led to humanity being able to innovate and grow, etc. So I'd argue that removing said labels of, it's essentially a specialist kind of regresses back into the days of the first days of humanity.
Yeah, and I think that there would definitely be in that type of conception a lack of progress, but I'm sure Marx would argue that might actually be okay. I mean, if it's better for the human being as opposed to society as like a general whole in terms of like constant progression and advancement, maybe that's an okay thing.
Oh, yeah. We should probably stop before we.
Yeah. I don't want to turn any of my viewers into communists here.
I was mulling over the question in my head whether or not I want to ask your opinion on like, is profit really just taken away from the common laborer? But I'm like, no, we're not going to go down that tangent because that would be 6 hours later, and and then we're doing a comrade after that, so we better stop.
Yeah,
Naturally.
naturally.
All right. So comrade Packer, thank you.
Yeah, no worries, Tavarish.
Oh my goodness. Harris Sullivan, how about you?
Oh, me.
Some things you've been filling your time with.
Filling my time. So I
Keeping yourself young, if you will.
Yeah, oh well, I'm
Keeping an old so young.
I'm an 80-year-old man in a 25-year-old body, so it's tough sometimes. But I me, I have 1,000,000,001 hobbies. And so I still have my board game group. I guess the big thing is I'm learning. I'm always learning, whether it be reading or doing something. I'm challenging my mind in every way, uh, the way that I can. And so that's kind of how I keep my years full. Is I'm just a sponge for information. It's where my Latin comes from. It's Wyatt and I spoke about this. I'm trying to learn Arabic at the moment. And so it's just a lot of these things I'm trying to fill my life with, just learning new things and expanding my knowledge, because I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, but God knows I try. So as long as I can just keep trying, I think I'll be good. And then I think we talked about this, Ian. You and I did. I bought a kayak, and so
Oh,
I'm
wow,
really
okay.
I'm super excited this summer to try that out.
No, that's awesome.
And it converts into a two-person, so if any of y'all want to come kayak, let me know. Just show up, and yeah, it'll be a good time.
Oh, twist my arm. I think I can make that happen. You know, I'm
Yeah,
interested in your Arabic studies. How are the, because I know we talked about that, what, maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months ish ago at this point.
Oh, I think it was actually just a couple of weeks ago.
Oh no, you're right. You're right. Sorry, I was thinking of a different chat. So how's it coming along?
Slow. It's mainly the alphabet is absolutely. So it's less the alphabet. There's three letters, and I'm not even gonna try one I can't even say, but my phlegm that comes from my German helps a little bit. I'll say that.
That's good.
But it's like DHAD, Dahad, Dad. It's still hard for me to say. It's a very hard character. So there are three, and similar to like tonal languages, like I'm guessing like Mandarin, is that there are certain sounds that we don't use in English that we just have never used as English speakers. That, and even as a German speaker, there are certain sounds like the TS, like tschüss, or the Z. Those I can do, but most English speakers have trouble with. But neither that. So neither one of those. Imagine a whole nother sound, in which you already know what from Mandarin. That it's just I'm having to relearn essentially how to even formulate the sound, which is throwing me off completely. On top of it being a different character.
Yeah, and I feel like that can be tough. But good on you for learning that. Just going outside of the comfort zone, because I feel like I, at least in my language learning experience, it's easy for me to look at like more Latin based languages as maybe a bit more enticing, just because like I know generally what the characters are pronounced as. But good for you. Right. Going towards Arabic. I heard Arabic grammar is pretty hard. I don't know from experience, but if it is, best of luck.
I'm a German speaker though, so I'm prepared for difficult and shitty grammar.
Yeah, you're ready for that, so that's good. Oh man, Ian, we still got you on the line here. It looks like his mic is muted actually.
Gentlemen,
there he is.
My the headset that I'm using it's Bluetooth to my phone, so whenever a text comes through, it like pauses y'all's voices for a few seconds, and mutes me. I'm sorry, please.
Oh no, it's your turn.
My turn. Okay, very well. Well, I'm not smart enough to be picking up on such things like Arabic, and so Godspeed for both of you gentlemen for doing the incredible linguistic work that you guys do, and I love hearing about it and silently cheering you on with my English only thoughts. But something that I've been on a mission to do lately is this isn't as tactile as y'all's, but I've been working on what I would call my weaknesses, and one of mine that I've assessed lately is I have a tough time saying no, and like if I have study material to get done or other responsibilities to get done, people will and people ask me, hey, come out tonight or whatever. Rarely am I one to turn down a good time, much less an alcoholic beverage. But I digress. I have been working on prioritizing the things that God has put me in a place to fulfill, as opposed to chasing some more quick and easy desire. So learning how to say no if I feel like I'm overextended, and someone asks for one more thing, or there's just one more thing, one more opportunity is presented to me, then just trying to learn how to say no and be okay with that decision. Because previously, when I would say no, I would feel guilty about it, and so um, trying to keep myself within my personal bandwidth is something I've been working on lately. A more physical thing. I also got a kayak not that long ago, about I would say
Oh my gosh, y'all are in the same
about
wavelength.
8 months ago. So been taking part in that as well. More, I wish that I was doing it more than I was right now, when it's kind of cold. I know that's a silly thing to say to you guys that live in much colder climates than me, but um, let me just say, at the very least, it was jacket weather here today. So
Oh God!
please, at least
The
grant me
horror. Yeah, all right, we'll grant it.
at
Yeah,
least
yeah.
grant me that liberty.
Yeah, I'm sorry you had to
Yeah,
crack that
it's
out. That's traumatizing.
yeah, I know. I had to like shake it out, get the dust off. Yeah, because
Yeah.
51 was just too tough to just
Oh
walk out
my
into.
God!
Um, but
Dude, I haven't felt 51 in probably like 8 months.
Yeah. God, 51. I think it's like 23 here. Let me look.
tough.
20,
got-
I
22.
hate that for you.
Yeah.
I'm at 31. I'm 30. I'm pushing it. I'm pushing the
I,
boundaries right now.
I hate that for you.
No.
As I sit here in short athletic shorts.
Yeah, I guess
Um,
we'll just have to visit sometime.
I
Oh
guess
yeah.
so.
Twist
Guess
our
so.
arm.
Even when it is cold here, the Gulf still does look beautiful. Gulf of America, I suppose. That still
I
looks
guess,
beautiful.
yeah, I guess so.
I had a work related event this morning, and the instructor for it unironically said, "And when you make this turn out over the Gulf of America," and I was like, "Whoa!" I was not prepared for someone to use that so nonchalantly already. But here we are. I digress. Anyway, speaking to things that we've been working on in our personal lives lately, and things that have kept us grounded. So learning how to say no has been a personal, I don't want to say struggle, but a personal journey that I've been on. And like a lot of our weaknesses, it was highlighted by someone who wasn't me. And 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 taking part in that journey has been challenging so far. But also doing some kayaking. Also, I've gotten into uh, distance biking, and
Oh,
I have a street bike, not like a motorcycle, but like
Like
a
a
Tour
street
de
bike.
France kind of
Yeah,
bike.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I've been putting some miles on that, and it's been a lot of fun.
are you
Getting the
decked
wind
out?
in the face.
Are you decked out in the sexy singlet that leaves nothing to my imagination?
Unfortunately not. I don't have one of those.
Not yet.
I,
Not yet.
you know what? Not yet. But that's one thing. Speaking of saying no, that's something I'll say yes to. I just need to get the motivation to get one. My birthday's not exactly coming up, but if y'all wanted any ideas, I would definitely wear one.
Oh,
Especially one that maybe I would flaunt the Pine White Tub podcast if you want to put one together. I would love to be your brand ambassador.
Wow, that
When
would
I'm
that'd be an incredibly niche piece of merch that I'm so down for.
dude,
how
offers
awesome would that be?
bicycling singlets. Oh, that's great.
Wow, that'd
How
be
awesome would that
incredible.
be?
I bet as a one-off I could make something. That would be really fucking cool.
That would get me into cycling.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I would have to. I would make a whole advertisement.
Wow, that's
I would
incredible.
I would film,
I mean,
and
why?
I'd
This
like
this is the way like chubbies get started. It's these one-off things that it's like, damn, no one thinks about it, but let's go for it.
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's put like the worst graphic designer the Lord put on this earth, Pai Kwai Ta, and have him make a singlet for biking. Oh, that's really funny. No, I would love to do something like that. That'd be awesome.
and just for the meme, if nothing else.
Yeah, for
how
the
much
yeah
fun would that be?
for the bit. It's like the Jasmine
Yeah,
shirts but cooler. So
right,
But
exactly.
cooler, yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah,
cooler.
but this one just really accentuates my bulge, and so that's the only
Oh
part.
no, it's horrible.
Oh my gosh, that's disgusting. Where
Oh,
actually I
where,
wouldn't
yeah.
want anyone. Actually, I wouldn't want anyone exposed to that except me and my girlfriend. But
Yeah. Fair.
um, still, um, that's some keeping my body moving, whether
Mhm.
it's on the water, on the street. Um, that actually has a bad connotation. On the bike, I'll say.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make it sound like I talking about my bulge, so I'm talking about walking the street. That's not a good thing to put in two sentences. But um, trying to keep myself moving and keep myself moving forward, and learning to address some weaknesses in our lives that, I mean, people are almost embarrassed to admit some of their own weaknesses a lot of the time. And I think it should be just as easy to talk about as your strengths, because the things that we grow from are experiencing the things that we're not good at and learning and attacking those things. And the things that we celebrate about ourselves, those are just things that we smile about, and we don't really, our lives aren't really enriched by those things. At the end of the day, we just get some personal satisfaction, but we don't grow from it. And so, taking a step back, being introspective, and I think that's something that people in our country, a lot of, as a whole, I don't think are the best at, as like a stereotype of Americans. I don't think we're known for being very introspective, but I think my personal struggle or journey of trying to take a step back and take a look inside, and that's been a journey that I've filled the previous year with undertaking.
No, I like
Yeah.
that a lot. I feel like you're right on the nose with, I guess, my stereotype of Americans. Yeah, I think introspecting can be hard. I don't know why that is for us. Maybe it's something about our culture that's very extroverted and outward facing at times. But you're right. I mean, I think in an ideal world, it'd be just as easy to talk about your strengths as your weaknesses. Because I think we've all learned, like, separately but equally, the fact that, like, we grow from our failures and from challenges more than we grow from our successes. And it's funny because I feel like most people have probably felt that way or learned that way, and yet it's still so hard to talk about things that you're just not good at. So yeah, it's interesting, very interesting, but very good point you bring up there, Ian.
No, I'll add to that regarding, well, both of y'all, why it's specifically about losing and winning. So I mentioned I have a board game group on Sundays. Well, part of, gaming in general with a group of guys is you lose. Everyone at the table except one's going to lose. And to your point, yeah, you learn so much more by losing than you do by winning, because then losing forces you to change for the better. And even if you change for the worse, it still forces you to change, because where you are is not a winning stance. And I loved, and so anyway, that's been my, Ian, kind of to go along with your point of, like, growth is that for me, it was learning how to take a loss and lose, and it was quite a bit humbling, let's say. And so, Wyatt, I love what you said about just growing from the failures, because successes, they're, and Ian, this will go with you, successes are sweet for a little bit, and then that's it, and then you get your post-nut syndrome of your victory, and you're like, well, damn, I learned nothing from that. But when you lose, God, it sets a fire in you like no tomorrow. So, board game, there you go. There's my little plug for the night.
There it is. It's funny you mentioned that. I was just thinking of Sarah and I play Settlers of Catan
Nice.
1v1 because
Whoa.
sometimes that's all we got, and Sarah's actually really good at that game. And I've always considered myself like a strategic thinker, like the board games, like, yeah, I got it. But Sarah kicks me around that Catan board like no other. So that's been, to your point, Sully, a very humbling experience in my life. We have inside of our, like, the box, we have a silver Sharpie, and we have our names written, and we tally up how many wins and losses we have. And she has she has many more wins than I do. So
I just texted you an amazing 2-player only board game that I think you and Sarah would love.
awesome. I'll give that a look after this.
You got to, for sure.
That's incredible. Slight shift, but something that we all, I guess, talked about a bit before this. and I wanted to bring it up. I'm pulling it up in our text here, but essentially, Ian, specifically you and I talked about this. Is that everywhere can be a theme park with the right mindset. And so
Right.
that has been on my mind. I've also thought of like you can find like beauty anywhere. Just for example, I was y'all know when I say like the devil's beating his wife, y'all know what that means. Y'all tracking
That's
that?
right with the
Oh, yeah.
sunshine,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course.
So
And I was shocked how few people know what that means.
yeah, so
Still, I'm
for
sorry.
for all the viewers, it's when it's raining when like the sun's out, right? Well, today I don't know what to call it, but it was snowing while the sun was out.
Interesting.
So I not gonna guess what that's called. But it was incredible. Like it was one of those snows that was like it was pretty soft, like very like fluffy snow. There's a lot of it though, and the sun was completely out. And I just thought that was the prettiest thing. Like here I am in the middle of Ohio, like, and it's just whatever that is. So snowing while the sun's out. But it was really really pretty. Going back to that topic of gratitude, that was something I was like, wow, like, I wonder how many people across time have seen this. Like probably quite a lot. But I'm glad that I'm here seeing it now. So anyways, with that, the world can be a stage. The world can be, beautiful if you look at it that way. So is there anything y'all have seen recently that have kind of pushed y'all down that path?
I
I'd
live
like,
in
I'd
I
like
live
to
in
jump on this one.
Colorado, so Ian, this is all you.
Okay. So what first prompted that? That the quote that Wyatt used, prompted that exact phrase to come to my mind, um, was a combination of people that I've met in my life. Like I think about people like Diego, Sully. I think about you guys, especially Wyatt. I mean, I feel like we have in our circle, we have some creative minds and some people that we know who keep a very open-minded stance on things and just very eager to learn, eager to pick up new experiences. And taking that mindset, I found myself in a grocery store about a week ago, I want to say. Wyatt, I texted this stuff to you, I think in real
Mm-hmm.
time, but
Mm-hmm.
I want to say this was about a week ago. And I don't remember what I was going in there for. I remember this must have been last weekend. I was at home all day long studying stuff because I had a very academically uh, rigorous week this past week. And so I was like at this desk just studying stuff pretty much all day. And I was like, I need to get out of the house. So there's a Publix grocery store about 5 minute drive away from me. And I drove over there. I think I convinced myself that I needed eggs or something random. So I went over there and I went in over to where the eggs were. But on the way to the eggs, I got distracted by the spelling of some product. I can't remember what it is. It's irrelevant. But there was something that I saw that I just got distracted by, and I just looked at it and I thought about it, and I commented in my brain, and I made a joke about it in my brain. And then I like probably made an awkward smile, and someone who was just watching me from a distance probably like, this guy's insane. But I was like looking at this and I was like, oh, that's fun. And I kept walking over to the eggs, went over to the eggs, and I examined the situation. Turns out there's you guys are probably familiar. There's like an egg shortage going on in the country right now. There's like hardly any to be found, and the ones that were on sale, I was like commenting to myself. I'm like, damn, those are expensive. And Publix, for those who listen to this ever who are familiar with Publix, everyone knows that there's a Publix tax. It is not the cheapest grocery store out there, but still, I was like, these are overpriced for what I want to pay. Turns out I don't need eggs. Screw it. So I just kept walking. And fast forward to 45 minutes later, I'm on the other end of the store and I'm reading birthday cards. I've been wandering this entire store and I've just been finding things that have made me smile. I've been sending pictures to things of little inside jokes with different friends that I have of different products. And remember when we did this kind of story and had this or whatever. And later on, I'm just reading birthday cards. I don't have anyone in my life who has a birthday coming up, much less one that I would send a birthday card to, but I'm still just reading birthday cards. And I'm just walking around the store and I'm finding entertainment. And I think about who, like the people in my life that I would love to be spending this with, like just walking around, shooting the shit, because I was definitely one of those moods where like you're walking around with a friend and you're just talking smack on everything, you're making jokes about everything. I was on a roll and I was like, it's such a shame that it's just me here because I'm in such a social, fun, exploratory kind of mood. It's like, damn, I wish that Wyatt was here. I wish that Sully was here, etc. Wish Diego was here. Wish someone else that I could just make dumb jokes about this product in the store. And then I started thinking I would walk around, I would go over to the fruit section, and I would like look at some fruit, and I'd be like, I wonder where this was grown. I was just thinking about all sorts of stuff. I'm sounding like a lunatic now, but I was giving myself permission to be a lunatic, and and then I finally tear myself out of that store. I go home, keep studying. I think for the next few days about, that was kind of a fun little trip to Publix, just walking around. I think I walked out with like tortillas. Like that was it. I didn't need anything. I think I was walking around and I saw a nice Latina lady and I was just seeing her reminded me that I needed tortillas. So that was the only thing that I actually got. But it was really just an exploration of that store. And then a couple days later, I see on the esteemed Paihuata YouTube channel, I see the fish video in Bass Pro Shops. And I watched that. And this is all on my mind. This is not, this can't be more than a couple days after I have my jaunt, my pilgrimage across the vast halls of Publix, if you will. And I see this video and I am focusing on the fish across the screen. If this goes out on the Paihuata YouTube channel ever, please, everyone, pause this video, open up a new tab, and find that video and just watch it for reference. And the narration from Paihuata himself, the ambiance of Bass Pro Shops. We are closing in 30 minutes. That was just, I think this video couldn't have been more than a minute and a half long, maybe just about a minute long. But it really, like, I was smiling every second of watching that video. I was like, that just drives home this theme that I've been thinking about for the past few days of anywhere can be a theme park if we have the right mindset and we just go into it with an open mind. Because so often, like taking my grocery store example, so often when we go into a grocery store, we have blinders on and if we need, I don't know, if we need cereal, we beeline for that aisle and we get what we need. And it's like, we might even have a list, which is even worse because that ties us into what we need or what we think we need. And really it's just, we're out in public, just experience. And I don't know, say hi to somebody, ask somebody if they need help getting something off a shelf, ask them how their day's going. Because I think by and large, most people have something they want to say, are dying to say something if only you ask the right question. And we really, like Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage and we're all players. And I think
but most of the cast is shit though.
Most of the cast is shitty, but I think that even the shitty people that we interact with every now and then, because they're out there, and even those people, they point you in the right direction because you're like, okay, that was okay. I gave it a shot. I interacted with that person. Wasn't a wholesome interaction, but what my takeaway from that interaction is that I'm not gonna be like that guy. And I think that any place you go, any interaction that you have, it's all, I think, a reason to smile, because it's even if someone's pissed off at you for some reason, you're still having a human interaction. Just don't get punched in the face. But anything that like walking around Publix, observing what people like the different trends and where people were going. It was just spectacular to watch humanity play out for a while.
You
Because
know,
my last closing on this was once I went to the eggs, it was like, never mind. I'm like, forget it. The one thing that I told myself to get out of the house to go find, I'm not gonna get. I'm just gonna like. I turned around and I was like, I'm just gonna walk out of the store for a while. And making that decision really just kind of was the decision that set off this whole chain of events of thinking about, it's really just a choice walking around, and that's been on my mind for a while. So I've taken a bunch of time, but that's kind of been what started my thought process of everything or any place you go, any interaction can be a theme park if you have that mindset.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say is I think that's absolutely right. I told you, Ian, but I haven't told Sully, so I'll have to repeat myself here about like the video because you brought it up. But it was honestly my experience kind of mirrors your experience as well. Like, Sarah and I had our very nice Valentine's Day dinner at the illustrious Cheesecake Factory. When a fine establishment. And so after that, we were like, we should just keep the night going. We should go walk around. We should see this area. And Sarah grew up in where we were in near Baltimore. So she grew up over there. So we're like, yeah, we'll like walk around, no dramas. So prior to Cheesecake, we had walked around a casino. After Cheesecake, we walked around a mall and then saw the Bass Pro Shop in the mall. So we're like, oh yeah, we gotta rock that. And so we're just walking around Bass Pro Shop. It's one of the most American things you can do, in my opinion. And while we were there, we ended up walking. I saw the fishing aisle, and I was like, "Yo, I love fish." No, I don't like eating fish. Everyone knows this, but I like fish as like a creature, and so
any fish coitus apparently works.
Yeah, exactly. As long as it's whitish, I'm in. But so we walked in to the fish aisle, and there's all these fishing rods, and I'm kind of going down the aisles, just enjoying the fact that there's so much fishing paraphernalia, if you will. Just out and about at Bass Pro Shop, which you would expect. Of course, our end goal is the big aquarium, if you can call it that Bass Pro Shop has. Because what's better than going to an aquarium like provided by a city for like $20? Well, I can tell you, it's going to the Bass Pro Shop aquarium for free. So, anyways, we walk in. We're going down the aisle, and we get stopped by one of the workers, and he was passionate about fishing, right? Like he talked to us for a long time about fishing, like at least like 10 minutes, which. And, in the grand scheme of things, I could see some people being like annoyed at. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I just want to look at like the striped bass or the largemouth that they have like in the tank." But on the other hand, like to me, it was beautiful in the fact that like a very nice social interaction. The guy was clearly just very, very passionate about fishing, and like it cost him nothing to talk to us. It cost us nothing to listen to him, and he got to share one of his dearest passions. He was telling us that he had been fishing since like the early 80s and hadn't looked back, and like he works 11 hours a week at Bass Pro Shop, and the rest of the hours a week he's out fishing. So I just thought that was such a beautiful, just love of the sport, love of the game, just really just passion chats that I've had in a long time. And so Sarah and I, we end up, after our conversation with him, we bid our farewells. We go to the Bass Pro Shop tank where that beautiful video is filmed. One of the greats of all time. But after that, the guy came up to us. He came back. And he was like, "Hey, like, since you mentioned you're from Ohio, here's like the app where you can download all your fishing licenses and like find all the greatest places to fish. And let's take your picture in front of the fish tank." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's great." So what a beautiful experience that, kind of what you were saying, Ian. It started off just just kind of by going in there, and then it ended up turning into a bit of a theme park, and it was I'm a better person because of it, and it was a surprising place, but you know what, looking back with hindsight, maybe not an unexpected place to find a little bit of beauty in the world.
That's a great way to say it. And when you went out that night, going to the illustrious Cheesecake Factory, you did not expect, I would be surprised, you didn't, as you said, you did not expect to find yourself in a Bass Pro Shops.
Mm-hmm.
But you were just continuing the night, making spontaneous decisions. And some people are more spontaneous than others, but just making on the spot decisions sometimes and allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to be open minded really opens some incredible social doors like you experienced with that gentleman fisherman at Bass Pro Shops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Sully, you have any experiences along those lines anytime recently?
Oh, well, yeah, both of your conversations bring back many experiences. Let me think of the most recent. Well, I'll lead off. I like to preface anything I say with a good old quote, and your experiences remind me of one of my favorite quotes I ever heard, and it was I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but if your daily life seems poor, do not blame it. Blame yourself that you are not poet enough to call forth its riches. For the Creator, there is no poverty. And I think that goes along with what both of y'all are speaking about, how no matter where you go, reminding yourself that we're the only creator of our joy, so to speak. There's no poverty for us because you can be in a Publix, you could be in a Bass Pro Shop, and in my case, for me, most of it's outdoors. But yeah, it doesn't. It's free. Like to your point, Wyatt, and both Ian as well. It's free to go into a Publix. It's free to go into a Bass Pro Shop, and so there is no excuse for our own life to be poor because we can call forth plenty of joy from that. But both of the stories. Oh, I'll go on two tangents here. Wyatt, I'll start with what your story reminded me of, and Ian, to your point, also like with socializing with people, and that is, I've always been told that I'm an old soul, right? Well, you only gain wisdom because you and I, all three of us, were fairly the same age. We don't have the life experiences, but what we can do is we can talk and have conversations with people who have had their own life experiences. And the reason that I'm described as such an old soul is because in the town I grew up in, I listened to most of the stories of the older folk, the more wiser folks, you could say. And I think there's so much to be learned in that. And that is something, Ian, one thing, Ian, specifically, that I've always loved about you, and that is you are one of the most amazing people when it comes to getting people to open up about their own stories and then listening to those stories. And so I respect the hell out of that. But that's such a good ability because when you talk to the right people and you realize what wealth of knowledge and wisdom that certain people hold, starting a conversation with them is free. It doesn't cost us anything but a little bit of social anxiety. But the wealth that we can get from it's just absolutely amazing. So, to use that tangent to segue into my more, what I've run into recently, two things. One, as far as I'm a big nature guy, and that comes from growing up in the mid-South in the Delta of Mississippi, and there's not very many people and not very many exciting things. So, Ian, to your quote, the world was my theme park. Like, that's all there was to it. And so it snows quite a bit here, as you already know. And I remember I stopped in the path and I saw a single snowflake on the tip of the finger of my glove. And I remember just sitting there and staring at it for probably a good 45 seconds to a minute, just absolutely mesmerized is the word I'm going to use of this single snowflake. And it was amazing. And like I said, this snowflake was a 32nd of an inch maybe. So such a tiny thing that only lasts, until the sun melts it. So it only lasts, or until it's buried under many more snowflakes. Something that lasts so little, but it was such a tiny moment that left such an impact of how beautiful this little tiny piece of nature was. And that if I'm ever cynical or pessimistic, if I ever want like some optimism or joy in my life, I can simply go out to nature and admire just some little bitty something. And it's really just amazing that in of itself. Nature is one of the most amazing things, and I will say it till the day I die. Creation is one of the most amazing, beautiful, free things that human beings have access to, and it is a source of almost unlimited joy. And so then the second part of that conversation was I do quite a bit with my church, and that is, of course, there's a bunch of older, wiser gentlemen there who are about, celebrating the 40th anniversary of their 40th birthday. And so anyway, speaking to them, hearing some of their stories, just sitting at a table and listening to them laugh, joke, talk about what they've done, what they've been through, what they've seen, what they've heard, etc. It's one of the most life impacting experiences I'll ever have, is just being able to listen to people who have lived, 3 times my life, and just listening to one, how they got to where they get, and just how they encountered life, because life is not something that we simply walk through. We encounter it every single day. We encounter nature, we encounter people. And so I see life not as, it's less of a oh, I have to do it, but more or less life is just nothing. It's a journey. It's nothing but encounters. And so seeing, I mean, even sitting here listening to see how, Ian, how you encountered Publix, and Wyatt, how you encountered Bass Pro Shops or Cheesecake Factory or whatever. It's always amazing to hear how people encounter their life. And that's one of my big mindset shifts, is not hearing just people's stories, but hearing their encounters. So I'll stop it there before I get too lazy and to stop myself and ramble on.
No, I mean, I like the idea
Yes.
of encounters. I would argue, or at least I'd say that Karl Marx would be really disappointed that Ian encountered Publix and I encountered Bass Pro Shop, 2 capitalistic institutions. But I think that, you remind me when you talk about encountering and how you don't walk. Life isn't just a straight path. There's many, many forks and branches and turnarounds and whatnot in the road. There's a Buddhist thought that if life is like a stream that you step in, like, people talk like you can't step in the same stream twice. They would say that you can't step in the same stream once. So I think that getting the wisdom and the knowledge of how other people have encountered their lives helps us encounter our lives even better. And then I think the hope obviously is that we can pass on our encounters with life to others around us. So I really like that idea. Yeah, for posterity, for plant the seeds of the trees in which you'll never sit in, that type of jazz. But I really like the idea of that you're bringing up, of encountering life as opposed to just taking a lazy stroll through it.
For sure.
Fantastic observation.
Any
Sir,
comments?
I love listening to you guys. I love having conversations like this, and we bring up some good, or y'all bring up some good points. I'm just sharing my anecdote of walking through Publix like a madman. But yeah, Carl, I'm sure Karl Marx would not enjoy this conversation simply because I've been to Bass Pro Shops a couple of times in my life, and I've been to Publix quite a few times, especially recently, as my story suggests. And the lights on the ceiling in both establishments are always very bright, shining on all the many deals and ways to spend your hard-earned cash. And I'm sure that Carl would have some choice words about those establishments, but also we're not asking his opinion tonight. So
yeah, also, yeah, well, get ratioed,
yeah,
nerd.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Oh, that's
have
good.
fun in that cold dark grave.
Yeah, have fun. Yeah, bis später.
But just encountering life is a beautiful way to say it, because because harkening back to the beginning of the conversation, we're talking about how life moves on, time between college and time in college. One of the things that makes life feel slow sometimes, or is the redundancy and the monotony. But choosing to look at that as a beautiful thing, and finding ways to make it more interesting. And maybe that's, I don't know, stop at a random store that you haven't stopped at before on your drive home. Just today, I mean, for where I go to work, it's about a 45-minute drive from my house, and so there's a lot of and most of it is on back roads, and there's a lot of small establishments that I pass. And just today, driving home, there was I saw a Santa Rosa County fantasy bookstore, and I saw that, and I was like, I've never really been one to read fantasy books, but I bet if I went in there, I would find some interesting people to talk to.
Dude, Ian, they're fantastic.
I'm sure.
No pun
I'm sure.
intended.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Well done. Touche.
Yeah, sorry. That was a dad
I'm
joke.
giving you like a golf clap right now. But just like an example like that, just some random place, something that will spice your day up, and finding those kinds of things, they keep.
To all our listeners out there, we're essentially just condoning people watching.
Yeah, yeah. So, anyways,
Absolutely.
yeah. Don't
Oh,
stalk
100%.
anybody, but watch them. You know, you're good.
Yeah, I mean, stop them and say hi if you want to. It'll even open up a better experience.
Yeah, maybe hand them a Miller Lite.
Done.
Hell yeah.
Done.
Oh, that's good. Ian, what you were saying kind of reminded me of. I think what might be the second maybe pillar of positivity. I talked a bit earlier about gratitude, and that's one that I had been cooking on for a while. But something that you made me start thinking about is mindfulness. That's kind of been a recent trend in my life. I've tried to be a bit more mindful. It turns out I have something called bruxism, which is like where you grind your teeth in your sleep. And one of the ways that you can like not do that is in your waking life, if you notice that you're clenching your jaw a lot, which I find myself doing often, is having that like mindful awareness to stop doing that. But that is kind of translated into other areas of my life. And I think just as we go through life, if we're mindful of things, like you might be stuck in the monotony of doing things, but as long as you're mindful in those moments and you seek out those opportunities to change things up, I think you can absolutely shift your life towards the better. So just a thought that you made me think of.
Plato would say the unexamined life is not a life worth living, so we must always be mindful, my dear friends.
I'm so glad you had that off the dome.
Listen, I love my philosophy, Wyatt, okay? You know this.
No, I absolutely know that. And the one thing I am very grateful of and currently incredibly mindful of.
I see what you did there. Good man.
Fantastic.
Oh, no, I'm so glad that we were able to have nights like tonight. They were able to just chat, and honestly, this fire is a little mesmerizing. I don't know if y'all been watching that.
No, I have been. I've been kind of focused on it.
Yeah,
I've been focused on y'all's words, and my eyes have been staring at the perpendicular log on top right there.
Yeah, it's like, what a guy. I mean, he's really lashed it up there. What a champion.
Yeah, he has.
Well, gentlemen, the real question tonight, where are we at with our beverages?
Oh my God, I'm 2 beers in and I'm almost done with my flask. I am cooked, boys.
Oh my gosh. Well, you guys are better at this than me. I am at least happy to report that the hazy IPA is finished.
Man.
I have, but any progress report past that is disappointing because I have merely switched the koozie to the Pacifico. But I guess this is as good a time as any to give it one of those.
There we go.
Let's go. That's nice.
Let's jump into number 2 and onward, as they say. Down the hatch.
That's good.
Beautiful.
Sully, where you at?
The White Russian, it died many minutes ago, and so now I am nursing this Miller Lite, trying to make it last,
Make it last, yeah. Oh, man. What a night! What a night! I'm just, I'm just over the moon that we were able to, on fairly short notice, to make this happen. So,
yeah,
I just really, I mean, any talk I feel like that we have is always goated. So, I really appreciate.
And now that I figured now that I figured Discord out, I think we should do this more often. I mean, people always say that after things like this, but I think we should get into like a habit of like every second Friday or something like that. Like the three of us get together on here and we calibrate.
Yeah,
And, and
I
talk
would
about
love
stuff.
that.
100%.
Dude,
I
think
think
of all
that'd be a lot of
the lucky Pike White Tub channel viewers. You know,
Yeah, no kidding. They're gonna be sick of us.
you know,
which-
all of them might be in this Discord call right now, but they're going to be so happy though.
Oh, I'm sure you have a wider reach than that. I'm sure this podcast will go out to literally dozens of people across the YouTubes, and most of them probably Chinese high school students left over from the Duolingo speedruns. But
Oh, you know, that's a
anything.
sidebar. Gosh, so Duolingo's undergone a couple massive changes recently. One of them is they killed off the owl, but actually. But maybe more critically is the speed runs that I used to do are basically no longer possible anymore.
Really?
For two reasons. One, they changed like the format of like the Duolingo, like how it's presented to you. It's presented in a bit of a different manner. And I briefly mentioned that I think in my first speedrun video, just because it was like that was right as it was transitioning to the new format. So that's one reason it's dead. And the other reason it's dead is because they play like ads after every lesson you complete if you don't have like the premium Duolingo. So that means that my time would be horrendous. Like part of my time would be an ad if I was trying to like click the trophy to end it. So a little sad that that's the case. I've thought about emailing Duolingo about that because I really want like a speed run mode on Duolingo. I think that'd make them a lot of money. And since I'm offering this idea up now in royalties, it'd make me a lot of money. And I think it'd just be a fun little way to compete in Duolingo. Because as far as I know, I am the Duolingo Mandarin world champion. So I would love for
I think you should take that title and run with it.
yeah, I think when I email them, like, look, as the Mandarin Duolingo speedrun world champion, you know, so being as prestigious as I am, and actually, you know, over the years, and I've had Duolingo since like 2013, I think, maybe June of 2013. I've submitted like a lot of like change requests for their Mandarin specifically program, and that they've accepted. I have the emails that like back that up. So you know, I think I got a bit of sway with corporate. I'll chat with them about getting a speedrun mode in there. So, but anyways, you just made me. You mentioned Duolingo and like the synapse fired, and I'm two plus beers in, so I'm sorry for derailing us here, but that was on my mind. So,
You know, whenever I start talking to someone that you don't know, that I'm talking to them, and the conversation comes to my friend Wyatt Packard, and whenever we get to that point, I say, "Hold on," and I pull up one Duolingo speedrun. Basically, I find the one with the most Chinese bots that have clicked on, and it has the highest view count. And once I do that, these people are like, "Wow, this guy's a nut job," and they always are impressed.
good. You know, I think the one that I have the most views on is actually my slowest time.
Really?
So yeah, because I published. So I saw this one YouTuber make a video about Duolingo speedrun, and I was like, wow, that's cool. But maybe in the spirit of a the world's a theme park, I was like, wait a second, like I can get on that ride too. And so I made a quick video. I think I had like a 2:40 or something time wise, or maybe a 3:40. I can't remember right now. Thanks, beer. But yeah, that got like a random amount of a lot of views, and a lot of, if you look at the comments, a lot of like Vietnamese AI comments. So I'm not sure quite what happened there. But yeah, anyways, that what a time, what a beautiful golden era.
You made that video afterwards just for your Vietnamese fans.
Yeah, yep. Oh man. So anyways, just fun little background insights on a Z tier YouTube channel.
hardly, hardly, my friend. No.
Y'all.
So what else?
y'all.
What else y'all got on y'all's mind? I know we've talked a bit about the world being a theme park. We talked a bit about positivity, and I'm using all of my brain cells to make this into a coherent thought right now. But but what else, y'all? Has anything been weighing in y'all, or anything that y'all have just had as a maybe a thread of thought since the new year?
Ooh. Wyatt, that's a dangerous
I
question.
know that's a
Man.
dangerous question.
Yeah, I no, this is a small tangent that was kind of funny. So before I came here, I was drinking a little bit with my neighbors, John and Jim, and they said, "Oh, well, where are you going?" I said, "Oh, I gotta go do a podcast." And I'm not gonna lie, that felt so good in the moment to be able to say that, Wyatt. I appreciate it.
Oh, that's
I definitely
awesome.
dropped that today too. Yeah.
Oh, that's super cool.
I got to say, sorry guys, I gotta go do a podcast. Hang on.
Yeah.
But
When we were approaching time to get started on this, I was on the phone with my girlfriend. I told her, I'm sorry, I got to go. It's time for me to be a guest on a podcast with the boys. And she was like, that makes so much sense. I was like, cool. So, yeah, definitely getting to say that, yeah, I'm doing a podcast with some esteemed gentlemen has been a bright part of my day.
well, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad that we're able to make this happen. This again, it just makes me so happy.
It would be interesting if we did a podcast where, just about 3 hours and we just, killed maybe a 24 rack of Miller Lights and it would be a good test to see how our personalities really interacted as we imbibed upon God's
Yeah,
pleasures.
as everything devolved around us,
Exactly.
Oh man, that'd be good. Each
Yeah,
of
I
us
just
just
need
8 Miller Lights deep. Gosh, that would be incredible.
a half pack of Marlboro Reds and I'll be cruising through it.
That does actually arise an idea suggestion. We could do one of these where we do it in like segments. So we do the first segment of say 20 minutes and we're completely sober. And then we stop recording or hang up or whatever. And then we all have like an 18 pack of Coors Light or whatever, insert beer here, and have 4 of them. And then reconvene, do another 15, 20 minutes, and then break another 4. So on until the pack is done and see the difference.
I got another good one. Instead
I'm
of
writing
even
both of these
breaking-
down.
Let's see, even better than breaking. Let's just Wyatt, as the the chairperson of the Communist Party. You could do
People have no context for that.
Sorry, as chairman of the Central Military Commission of the Chinese
Okay,
Communist.
thank you. Yeah, all right.
What you could do is you could set a timer. And essentially, when the timer goes off, it's like, oh shit! If you haven't finished your drink, finish it now. And had the timer set for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I don't know, or 5 minutes if we're feeling ambitious. But yeah, just have a little egg timer so everyone in your audience of millions hears it. And then we just gotta finish our beer. And we crack. We hold like Ian has been doing all night and give us that sweet crack of aluminum, and keep on keeping on.
Oh my gosh, I love both of those ideas. I wish there was a place to, like, if we could be on some beach somewhere and crack open a beer around like a fire, have a couple cigars, and have a place where it was like sound, like not windy. Oh my gosh, like this, but I feel like we can do this online too. I mean, they call Ohio the Hawaii of the Midwest, so I'm basically on a beach right now. So
we just gotta plan a camping trip. Boom.
yeah,
done.
true. That's it.
Oh my Lord.
Oh God.
We have to figure out the center point between Colorado, Ohio, and Florida, and then I feel like my answer is like Arkansas. I don't know if that's right. That is a knee jerk, couple beers deep reaction, but I feel like something like that.
Missouri, like St. Louis, actually is probably the
St.
most
Louis.
central point.
You know, that's a good, one of the biggest major cities. Sure.
Yeah, Mark Twain National Forest. There we go. We can go camping out there.
You know,
So-
St. Louis has a really big, big Indian like mounds, out next to it. It's called Cahokia. Anyways, that is like random knowledge, but that's somewhere I want to visit one day.
There is a great country bar that I just realized that I found that I have been to in the fucking, I'm talking middle of Missouri. It's called Big Dick's Halfway Inn.
If it's halfway between all of us, yeah, all right.
No, it's actually really funny. I'm going to shoot it in the group chat real quick because I think it could be a good place for us to meet.
Oh, that's good.
Well, I'm actually on a website right now, triangulate.streamlit.app. It's triangulating a location between 3 cities. So I'm trying to find exactly what the midpoint is. So I have Denver, Colorado. Wyatt, you're in Dayton.
Dayton, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. It says it's loading it.
Springfield.
It gives me midpoint coordinates.
Oh, okay.
There's no way that's right.
What does it say?
It's actually a little bit south. It's between Springfield and Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
Okay.
That actually sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. For some reason, I always think Colorado's farther west than it actually is.
No,
it's not.
if we're gonna meet in Missouri, we got to start calling it by its right name. Call it Missouri.
Missouri.
Missouri. Well, if you see the bar I sent you, that's close enough to Springfield. I promise. Big Dicks. You got to go there.
Yeah, it's right. Come on, it's right down the road.
You know what? We might as well go to Big Dicks.
Yeah. Done. It's the halfway house. Come on.
And ready, break. All right, go America. I love that.
Yeah, book a flight. See y'all in 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, so we do need to make that happen while we're here.
Yes, we do.
Now, getting out to Big Dicks from wherever you are might be a bit of a challenge, but I'm sure we could make that work.
No, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Oh, that's awesome.
Ian, I think I found the spot. Alrighty. Damn, we're doing great for ourselves. Look at what we've accomplished tonight.
Lots of beers
And and people would say that it's fake if they didn't have it on camera,
Oh yeah, true. But you know what? It is okay.
No, it's good.
We'll have to live until we until we hit that 10 million subscribers, and then we'll invest in a good camera set, right?
We're so close.
Where are we at?
I think 126 off the top of my head.
Oh hell yeah! All right.
So that is whatever 126 divided by 10 million is. That percentage of the way there.
Let's see. That is a measly 0.0013% there.
Measly, I think you mean a very strong 0.0013%. I mean, that's basically there. I mean, we round up in this household, so.
Yeah, this is round up. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we round up.
All right, so camera equipment. There we go. All right, we rounded up. We're good.
Yeah, it's perfect. So.
Why you are right on the money. 126. Good man.
Hey, what can I say?
125 videos. You almost have a video for every subscriber.
And this video will mark the one video for every subscriber.
There you go.
Wow,
got it
how
made.
about that? Wow, crazy. Yeah, that means I can't make any more videos until I get more subscribers. So,
bullshit.
No bullshit.
Really, everyone that I know would be like, "All right, I need this channel to keep making videos, and I need for him to do it. He's gonna have to get that count up. So I'm gonna rally the troops.
Sounds hell yeah.
Basically, Mr. Beast, watch out.
Well, I'll do it for you. All right, guys, whoever's listening, please just hit that subscribe button.
No, God, no. Guys, it really helps the channel out,
Yeah, it really helps.
Really
if you
helps
like,
the-
if you,
helps
if you
the
like
rhythm.
what you're seeing,
Yeah.
if you like what you're seeing, just punch that subscribe button. Why?
Oh,
When you make
God.
the video, make sure you put a big subscribe button in the middle of the screen right about now. Yeah,
Oh,
you got
man.
to.
Flashing.
If I don't
Question.
keel over by the end of this video, then yeah, sure, I'll consider it. Oh, that's awesome.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Are we still enjoying the fire? Or do we
Yeah,
need to turn the
actually,
machine
no,
on?
I love the fire. Every time you bring up like the time left on the fire, it's really nice to see that we've been talking for basically an hour and 40 minutes at this point.
Oh, yeah. Yo, that means we got 6 hours and 20 minutes left.
Yay, yippee! I feel like some of this could be, I don't know if y'all do like fantasy football or hockey or basketball or anything, but I've heard of certain leagues having like punishments, like if you're the very last in your league, you have to go to a Waffle House and you have to be there for 24 hours, but every
Oh my
waffle you
God.
eat takes an hour off of the time that you have to be there.
Oh, dude, I would be there max of 2 hours.
Yeah, I'd crush it,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But sorry, that's what that made me think of, and I'd love to do that one day, just for the bit.
Just for the bit.
Live for the bit, die for the bit, whatever. Like whatever.
Right,
Love the
but
bit.
our last Discord lasted half this fire, so we could easily, with Ian in this, we could easily make it 8 hours.
Oh yeah, like I have no doubt that. I mean, I think if we were given ample room, ample food, ample drink, and ample
prep
smokes,
Oh, yeah.
I think maybe even off the cusp we could talk about stuff for maybe forever. So
I agree wholeheartedly.
yeah, what an incredible. Again, just something I feel so blessed and so grateful for is to have great folks like y'all both in my life. So.
It is reciprocated, my dear sir, and it is a very rare thing, that you can get together, just a couple of folks and chat with for hours on end, and never really run out of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with what Ian was saying earlier. Like, I would love to do this more regularly. Now that Ian finally has Discord, he's part of the ship, part of the crew. Rope him in.
I know. Thank you. I'm finally on the approved list on Santa's nice list now.
Yeah, you're
So
in the you're actually in a private channel right now, so other people can't see us. It's just us. So how incredible! It's like a VIP access room. If I had like a Patreon, you'd be on it. So
Works. There we go. Hey,
I'm Patreon, OnlyFans, same thing.
yeah, it's basically the Pi Quetzal OnlyFans is what you're getting right now. So enjoy that.
That's awesome. I guess since I made this account just now, I guess I have to make some kind of profile picture, huh? I can't just have this.
The Discord logo, yeah.
The
Yeah,
Discord
no,
logo.
that's not gonna last. Oh, I got 3 more video ideas, Wyatt.
Oh, let's hear
All
him.
right,
Sorry.
So the first video idea is Ian and I come visit you. You take us to your favorite supermarket. Then we go visit Ian in his Publix, and then you come down here and visit my King Supers. There we go.
That'd be excellent. Actually,
King
that's a
Gougers.
fantastic idea.
And we set the timer for a whole hour, maybe 2 hours that we have to spend in there, and we have to find we have to pretty much be it interesting enough for a video,
You have to find beauty in like the vegetable aisle, like,
Oh, yeah, just a nice split peach, and you find a beautiful beauty in it. There you go.
I was thinking more like, like you have to time how long it takes between mistings in the vegetable aisle, really, yeah, keep them accountable.
Yeah, we keep we keep walking down the freezer aisle so the lights come on every 30 minutes.
Yeah, waste big King Super's energy budget.
Now Marks would agree with us.
Yeah. Hey, Carl, how's it going? Oh, that's funny.
Oh God. Ian, how's the profile picture coming?
I'm looking through like my photos, and everything is just pictures of the Blue Angels. So I'm gonna not do that. I'm gonna find something fun, but I'm still looking.
Okay, okay, good man. Good
You know, and I
man.
feel like so much goes into a profile picture. With that, Sully, how did you? I've always been curious. I've never asked, but what? First off, what is your profile picture? Second off, how? Why that?
It's my penguin with a book on his head.
All right, well, hey, I guess I'll see myself out, folks.
You know, people ask me, "How do you learn so much?" And I just say, "Osmosis." You know.
Yeah, just like
You got it. Yes. No, no. It is a yeah. So penguins, they are they live on their own continent. So much as how I kind of see myself, I sometimes live in my own world of I'm a little bit more distant than most of my most folks around me. I've always been kind of the black sheep of my family and a little bit of a weirdo. And then the book on top of my head is the osmosis that I'm constantly and always looking out for good knowledge, and said knowledge will defend me from the downpours that may come from above.
nice. How did you find that image?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's just somewhere. And
I was probably drinking and smoking a roach, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cute. I'll take it."
yeah, all right. Yeah, I love that.
And Wyatt, I see Paihoaita has the pink face with the blue hair, and what's going on there?
Yeah, so a friend of mine drew that for me, probably in my it was either freshman or sophomore year of college. There was some like Snapchat picture of me where I was doing exactly that, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I've got to draw that of you," and so they did, and I'm super grateful they did because otherwise this channel would have no profile picture.
It has a lot of character.
Yeah, it's a lot of character.
Completely give you that.
You know, actually, I kicked around the other day, and I'd have to find it in the files in my computer. I was like, oh my gosh, like, what if I inverted this? I've always had the idea of making a Pai Huai 2 YouTube channel.
Nice.
Just to like throw like off like whatever like I've considered it for more of like a streamlined, because you know my main channel here is more of just me, like literally, I mean, you can read my channel description. It's like just whatever I find interesting in a given moment, and every now and then I'll update that channel description to be like what I'm interested in, but you know, obviously that changes over time. But I've considered Pai Huai 2 to be more like maybe like an anthropology only YouTube channel. Back in the day, I kicked around. I told y'all this is like if y'all remember this, I'm gonna be shocked. But I told y'all about the Pai Huai Ta ideal modern medieval person, or the pimp program that I thought about releasing to the world, and I thought about doing that solely on the channel, where essentially I would just do like how I got to where I am in terms of like all the different things that I think would constitute like an ideal medieval person. So a warrior, a poet, you know, a linguist, a historian, a believer, right? And all of that into one channel. But so I inverted the image, and it's actually horrible.
No.
Okay, it's not horrible. The artist is still incredibly valid. But I've got to find this really quick because it's a little funny. Where is it? Maybe it's in my gallery. Oh yeah. Okay, y'all can have fun with that image. I threw it into the Central Military Commission channel. I didn't expect it to be the way that it was, but I kind of mess with it. So.
And then why you of course know what Hefrukter means. My my name. Ian, are you aware?
I'm not. No.
Why do you want to do the honors for me?
No, after you.
Oh, so Hefrukter. Frukter can translate to a few different things. My go-to is madman, the crazy man, the yeah. So it's essentially I'm an insane. It's like, oh, this guy's insane. So Frukter just means batshit crazy, essentially. And so I'm Mr. Crazy.
Mr. Crazy.
I have like the image of the Mad Hatter, but instead of like a hat, it's like a book. So
I'm about doing that for my picture, and now that you said it, I might actually go back to doing that. Oh, that would be a good one. Yep. Maybe I should actually do that.
Something I learned, speaking of just learning things, when I was in, oh gosh, I think I was in Philadelphia. Where was I? I was in Philadelphia or DC. But the place I was at had a bit about talking about how we got the name like Mad Hatter, right? It's because like the Hatters would use magnesium and they'd like inhale that constantly, and that made them go insane. Yeah. So I didn't know about that. But that was I didn't realize that Mad Hatter was anything outside of like just Alice in Wonderland, like just a weird but like funny name. But no, there's actually some method behind the madness. So
Yeah, no, and that to go along with that, it wasn't just in hatting. So, for example, if you ever come across a book printed about in the 1860s and it goes by the name Paris Green, don't touch it because that Paris Green is it will cause arsenic poisoning. And so many people who handled those books, like librarians or researchers who handled Paris Green books from the 1860s, they were poisoned by arsenic because arsenic was used in that coloring. And to your point, it's really cool how we think about these things that people on a daily asbestos people used on a daily basis, and they're like, or lead paint, and you're like, damn, we kind of really just did it to ourselves,
yeah.
Yeah. Padding, Paris green, lead paint, asbestos. God, humanity really does it right.
Microplastics nowadays. I saw a person was doing a like microscopy on like bread, and they were showing all the little bits of microplastic in the bread. And you're like, ugh.
Interesting.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which that'll be, you heard it here first, folks. That'll be a problem. I'm sure of it.
Oh, so now we're giving good science advice.
Yeah. There's that's enough science advice from me. That's I'm at my limit. So.
Why 3?
Ideas in mathematics, baby.
Yeah, ideas in mathematics. Yeah, exactly. I was just telling somebody the other day that that's the only math class I took, and they were shocked. They were like, "What's your highest level of math?" I was like, "Pre-cal," and they were shocked by that.
Oh my god.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. So what else, boys? What do y'all got?
Ian, you found a picture yet?
I am neglecting any of the pictures in my computer library, and apparently I have to make a subscription to get some of the free prompts that they have, or supposedly free prompts. But so I'm not sure yet. I'm no closer, but I have some ideas, and I'm thinking anything from just Nacho Libre to the meme of that Swedish guy with the awkward smile. Thinking in either of those.
I think
So
either
I'm
could work.
thinking-
Harold.
Is that his name?
Hide the Pain Harold. I don't know what the
Hide
guy's
the Pain Harold.
Yeah, I don't know what his
That's right, I
his
remember that.
actual name is. Sorry, that I had to dig back to 2012 for that one. The Pain Harold me.
Andras Isvan Arato,
He's Hungarian.
Hungarian retired electrical engineer and model.
And
I love
model.
it.
Yeah, I'm
of
looking at the
course.
Wikipedia right now too. That's great.
Born in 1945. Nice.
In Kotzig. Oh wow, he was in the Hungarian People's Army. Crazy.
Now we're all doing our research. I love this.
Yeah, I know it goes quiet because everyone's reading the Wikipedia page here.
Not that we condone Wikipedia, but
No. That's funny. So I have like the Wikipedia app. I downloaded it because I thought it'd just be nice because apparently, okay, so like groundbreaking discovery for the boys here. You can just download Wikipedia articles. So like if you're ever out of internet service and you have the stuff downloaded on your phone, you just have them. And I know it's like basically every guy's favorite pastime of just like reading random Wikipedia articles. Like
yes.
there's
That
so
leads me
many.
to the conversation.
Go in there. Yeah. Take it.
Wyatt, so Ian and I used to have this thing when we lived together, where even now sometimes we'll randomly text each other, just like, so what's your this is my latest Wikipedia tangent, and I'll give you like a beginning, and I'll like Ian, you know this. I'll say I started here and I ended up here, and I gotta ask, what's been your latest Wikipedia tangent? Like, where did you start and where did you end? What's the craziest one so far?
You know what? Nothing super crazy so far, but something that I've been on a bender for is I've tossed around the Jesus, the idea of like making a video about like China's forgotten dynasty, so the Chu dynasty. Um,
Ooh.
and so with that, I've just been reading some of the Wikipedia articles as like a primer. Obviously, understanding Wikipedia is not perfect, but the uh, the 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 first person, I guess, to be so the title is Hegemon King of the Western Chu Dynasty. His name is Xiang Yu. So I've been reading through his like Wikipedia page. This all started because I saw a meme on like Instagram that was talking about like after the Han Dynasty fell, like, oh my gosh, what do we do in China? And you have like the nerd Liu Bang like just trying to dissert here and like make some super wild points, and then Shang Yu's like, yeah, we ball. Grab that Glock, boys. We're in it. So I've been on that as a bit of a Wikipedia tear. But something Sarah and I do every now and then is I call it like a Wikipedia race. Essentially, separately,
You start and then someone gives the end and you try to get there with the quickest possible.
it's actually it's very similar to that. So what we'll do is I'll have an idea and she'll have an idea, and we'll tell each other ideas that we have in terms of like the Wikipedia article we found. And then I'll start on her article and try to make my way back to mine, and she'll start on my article and make her way back to hers. And that's a fun little way to pass the time. You know, we'll do like best 3 out of 5, right, and see who wins. But so cool that Wikipedia exists. I'm like an editor or whatever on Wikipedia now. I haven't done anything with that yet, but one day I might. You've seen my little library, and I think I should put some of that to use at some point. But I'll kick the ball back in your direction. Any Wikipedia tangents from either of y'all recently? Also, Ian, nice picture.
Thank you. I gave up and I was like, I'm just gonna pick one of these pictures that I've taken.
What are we looking at here? That looks like an Air Force plane in the background.
Well, I'm afraid I have to say it's a Navy plane.
It's a Navy plane. All right, good.
And I was just scrolling through the myriad of airplane pictures that I have on my computer, and I saw this one that I took at an air show in New Orleans at the beginning of the year, and or beginning of the summer, and I thought it was cool, just the little kid on his dad's shoulders looking at the jet going by. So I was like, that's kind of a medium. That's not just like a raw nerdy airplane picture. It's kind of, there's kind of a theme there. So
yeah, that's good. That's a passion being born right there. I like that.
That's exactly the thought process I had. So as much as a meme could fit there, that's a picture of. I feel like that's a picture of me 21 years ago, probably. So, uh, that's that. Therein is the magic behind my brand new profile picture. It may not be permanent. Once I find a meme that I feel explains my having a Discord, then I'll replace it. But for now, that's gonna sit.
That rocks. I like that. But yeah, so I'll pass the question to you boys. Any fun little rabbit holes y'all have been down recently? And I won't confine y'all just to Wikipedia, but any rabbit holes in general.
I'll do Wikipedia for sure. You know when you're ever looking at those, I don't know, I'm gonna date myself a little bit. When you go on Microsoft Word and it was like giving you an example of the template, and it always started off with lorem ipsum.
Mm-hmm.
It was the placeholder text. Y'all remember lorem ipsum?
Oh yeah.
So I was going on a tangent. Yes, where that came up from, and it's a corrupted version of another text by a Roman statesman, actually Cicero. But yeah, they altered
love
it.
Cicero.
So it's just lorem ipsum is not true Latin, the whole phrase there. But yeah, I was so crazy. It started in the 1960s. It was used in typesetting, but yeah. Lorem ipsum. I don't know what made me think of that, but everyone who knows of like Microsoft Word or looking at fonts knows lorem ipsum, and it just cracks me up. I mean, when was the last time y'all heard of lorem ipsum? Or, like, thought about that? Lorem ipsum.
Actually,
Probably the last time I
earlier
used
this
Apple.
month. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, tell us the context, please.
For me, it was a meme. And like it was some like soy jack, and then like some whatever like Chad, and the Chad was saying stuff in Latin, and like the soy jack was saying something like lorem ipsum or whatever. Um, but yeah, no, because I've separately on my own been down that rabbit hole, and I thought it was it's really interesting that they used not Latin, because I feel like that's almost harder. Like you could just effectively with Word, once computers became available and widespread, you could just copy and paste the Cicero like speech as much as you wanted. But no, they like made their own not Latin thing, and I just find that really really fascinating.
For sure. Very unique indeed. Lorem ipsum. Oh my god. Ian, any fun
And
tangents you've been on?
any fun tangents? Well, I was talking to Wyatt earlier in the week about my fascination with the documentarian Ken Burns,
Oh.
and I've
Hmm.
been any spare time that I've had, which has not been much. Any spare time has been at least listening to some Ken Burns documentaries, and that is just the nerdiest thing ever to say. But my fascination with Ken Burns started with his World War II documentary, The War, and from that I was exposed to this whole plethora of all these topics, and I've just I rewatched The War, like that main World War II documentary over the summer. And then since then, I've kind of sprinkled in. I rewatched the Civil War one, Ken Burns, the Vietnam War. Uh, he has an excellent one on the history of baseball and its ties to the growth of this country. Uh, and all that to say, fast forward, and I just finished one on the Roosevelt family, and now I'm watching one prohibition in the United States. And I'm just exposing myself to his very methodical, very anecdotal style of storytelling in the past, and that's been my fascination. And also sprinkling that in with some light reading from my favorite genre, which is the history, specifically the military history genre. But just exposing myself to history because I love it, and as both of y'all are students of history, of course, as well. It's just an easy topic to me to fall in love with, and it's we read history so we can have lessons for the future. So
There's
that's really
I
my
completely agree with that. Like the history bit too. Like, ironically enough, it was from a Sherlock Holmes book, but Sherlock Holmes is telling Watson, you know, sometimes reality is stranger than fiction, and I feel like you see that a lot in history. But also, I mean, just a general sentiment that while history might not repeat, it sure does rhyme. So, to your point, it's very very useful, even now.
yeah, that's absolutely right, absolutely right. And we are living in history right now. It doesn't feel that way because it's our president, but I mean, when another thought that I had recently was it's like on the first episode of this prohibition uh, docu series that I was watching, that took place in the 20s, the 1920s, and we're in the 20s now. And people in that time thinking 100 years from now, this is going to be in the 2020s. How crazy is that? And thinking 100 years from now, we're going to be in the 2120s. How strange is that to even verbalize? Like none of us will be alive except maybe Sully because he's just a genetic mutant. But uh, it's just weird to think about the passage of time, and I feel like that's been one of the themes of this talk that we've had tonight. But um, I don't really know what my end goal of that was, but I was just sharing some thoughts. So, um,
Well, luckily
uh,
in the 2120s, they'll have this conversation to reflect back on. So
right.
yeah, they'll be good for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe they
sure
can
will.
subscribe, and I won't feel as bad. So,
Oh,
No
so
kidding.
Wyatt, you're leaving a legacy for your posterity with this channel.
actually, that is one of the reasons I got into like YouTube in general, and that's one of the reasons my channel is the way that it is. Just a collection of hodgepodge of things I'm interested in. Because one day the idea is like, my whatever ancestors can come watch this and see me be stupid or funny or serious or whatever in my videos. So I'm sure some things will age like absolute milk. But the hope is that at least something ages like a fine wine, and they just love that in the year 3000, right? So
Oh yeah. If they're all here in year 3000,
yes, if I still have relatives by then, first off, hi guys. Second off, yeah, if they're still here.
If they're still here. I wonder what the body of water just to the south of me will be called in their
It's gonna be like the Gulf of Panama or something. We're gonna be really surprised.
Yeah,
Oh
probably
my
so.
God.
Yeah. The Gulf of Greater Canada. Dun dun dun.
Oh my God.
Maybe the Gulf of Quebec. Who knows?
Oh.
Whoever wants it can name it.
Yeah, they can have it. I don't care.
Wild.
That's funny.
Strange times, gentlemen. I think that's another theme. Strange times.
Oh yeah, very strange.
Yeah,
Strange indeed.
I'll be interested. I think it's something I've just generally been thinking about is like, dang, can't we just live in like a normal time? But I pause myself when I say that because like, what is
What's
normal?
normal?
Yeah, what's normal, right?
Right. I was thinking about that today. Speaking of normal, like for example, if a school bus, flies off of a bridge and everyone dies on it, right? It'll make national headlines for a day, and it'll make state headlines for a week, and it'll make local headlines for a month, right?
Mhm.
Now, in between 1938 and I think it was like 1944, 1,000 people died every single hour, and it's just wild to think about what we consider norm or abnormal today versus what was relatively normal then, and how that normalcy will change
Mhm.
going forward.
One of the normalcies I think of our time that may not persist into the time of future generations is when you think of things like on Earth, fairly exponential human growth. You're looking at a lot of countries now, like China, Japan, South Korea come to mind. Most European countries come to mind as well. Even the United States to an extent, where populations are starting to actually decline, or at least in
Yeah.
as it stands right now in 2025, their 20-year outlook is a population decline rather than an increase. Because I think it was just last year, or maybe early in the year before, or late in the year before, that we hit 8 billion people on Earth. And you know what? With the population declines that are forecasted, obviously Earth's population will continue to grow for a bit, but it may not be to the levels that we're accustomed to. And all of the challenges that brings to not have, at least in our modern construct, like the workforce to sustain that amount of people. So to your point, Sully, what's normal to us in terms of, oh yeah, everything just grows and always gets bigger, may not be the case going forward.
Right, you bring up a very, very interesting thought of mine. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Then would you argue that the global population is simply a giant pyramid scheme of you got to keep including more and more people to sustain yourself?
I think it maybe a bit to an extent. I
To an
could see
extent.
something like that. I think I look at like a country like China, who in the next 20 years is predicted to have 5 seniors for every 1 worker, which is very not sustainable. So in a model like that, if you're in the government there, you absolutely want to like promote like growth at the younger levels, and you'll only start to see that growth in 20 years, right? If everyone starts today, you'll only see that growth in 20 years. But if that growth is ultimately amongst all countries a good thing, I actually think we may start to see the seeds of more growth fairly soon, and I think that comes with maybe not on Earth. I know that in the inauguration speech, President Trump talked about going back to Mars. I know the moon. We're supposed to go back pre 2030, and I think stuff like that. Like when we go to places outside of this Earth, we'll stay there. But I think those are more places for obviously one day more people to be born. And just as a side note, whoever is born in space first is going to be probably one of the most, if not the most famous people in history, minus maybe Jesus Christ. And
That's a very interesting point.
Yeah, like that is going to be such a milestone. Like they may be remembered for a very, very long time, certainly longer than I'll be remembered for. So with that, I think those new lands certainly provide at least an opportunity for more growth. But there's obviously going to be tremendous cost with that, and that'll be really interesting because I think we will see that play out in our lives, at least the beginnings of that process. So I'm that's one of the things I've kind of kept my eyes on, and I'll continue to keep my eyes on as we go forward.
Well, Wyatt, that could be your answer to this, but another question I want to pose to you guys is, what is something that gives you hope for the future?
I feel like
Silence is disconcerting.
No, I think it's good. It requires some good thoughts. In part, it's the fact that I look at if you're of the opinion that an increase in technology correlates with an increase of the standards of living. I think of how far we've come, even just in like my life. Like I remember when I was really young and like we had the VHS player. Back at home. I remember dial-up internet. I tried to play like, proto Club Penguin on dial-up, and that was not great. And just
We'll
think
never forget that sound.
Yeah, exactly. And like, just think of how far we've. And, if someone called, like, well, you can kiss your browser goodbye. Going from there, which was, I don't know, call that like 06, 07, 08, to now where I am live streaming from Sully's computer a video of a fire burning, and I'm talking with y'all in real time. That stuff like that gives me hope that the technology will be there to sustain long-term humanity. Also, the fact that now more than ever, people are very interconnected. One thing I've learned in my anthropology classes is that people have been pretty interconnected for a long time. I think there's a misconception around like perfectly pure and isolated groups of people throughout history, right? It's just archaeologically false. We've always been an interconnected species. Even if it doesn't necessarily seem that way sometimes, there's always been connection. I mean, the Chinese talk about units that fought in a turtle shell like formation. They're talking about Romans. So that's just kind of a fun tidbit. But I think now more than ever, we're more interconnected and more available to seeing the people in different places of the world from us. As much as I despise apps like Red Note or like TikTok because I think they're massive breaches of like personal privacy. That's experience. That's, I guess, showing some Americans and some Chinese people the lifestyles across the pond, but the Pacific pond, not the Atlantic one. So I think that empathy that is slowly being built between people across the world because of things like the internet is also a great thing that gives me a lot of hope for the future as well.
That
I
was
like
awesome.
that answer.
I love that answer. Wow.
So we have hope, and then obviously I think there's another part, like religion plays into that. Like I just have general hope based on my religion, but I won't go too deep into that here.
Yeah, and I'm in a similar boat in that. Okay, so once again, I'm a good old Catholic boy, so all you need to know about hope from that perspective is you can find it. But on a more worldly sense, so to speak, Wyatt, I love what you said about the hope and just how. And I don't want to reduce it down and dilute it to this simple phrase, but so please add on if you need to. But like just how people, the improvements within interactions of human society in the future. Is that a maybe good way of phrasing it?
Sure, sure.
And I love that. And I'm hopeful not only that, but that will be this not just sustained, but complemented with this newfound appreciation we have for our own world. Because I will say we do live in a time where people are becoming more and more aware and appreciative of the world itself, and we're trying to be better stewards of our world. And I have great hope that that technology paired with our newfound, I'll go as far as say respect or just appreciation for the world around us, or know that we need to take care of it better, will lead to a better world, not just for us, but for our posterity, since that's been the parlance of the night. But yes, but for our posterity, that they might live in a world that is cleaner, healthier, but just brighter in not a literal sense, but just brighter in that people are more understanding of each other, that people have a better appreciation for other cultures. And so that's the big hope on my end, is that they can experience that world, but also still live in a world where, we've done our best to be good stewards of our beautiful earth. I mean, we both talked about how, there's the little things we come to appreciate, and that we can continue to make those leaps and advances in technology, as far as so we can better care for what we've been, blessed with. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good perspective.
I like both
Ethan?
those answers.
What are you hopeful
Well,
for, good sir?
as I think about it, there are two things that really come to mind. One, in the job that I have now, I am privy to, I'm exposed to a lot of people that I would consider very intelligent, and I would say that myself notwithstanding, I would say that a lot of the people that I see, not all of them, but a good percentage of them, are extremely intelligent, largely above average, go-getter type A people. People that I feel like fit in with both of you in that kind of like upper echelon group of people, and people that I look up to and try and keep my head above water in referring to, or like staying in the same vicinity with. And it was told to me a long time ago that if you realize that you are the smartest, best, whatever person in any given room, then that's not the room for you. You want to get out and change your environment. And so, feeling like these people that I'm surrounding myself with right now in my current job are so cool, and that's something that gives me such hope for the future, is interacting with these people who, like, even today I saw it. We got a 45-page slideshow filled with numbers, and we walked out of that and went into a simulator, and guys just put all of it into practice immediately. They just watched this slideshow presentation and immediately started recreating it in the simulator. It's a level of intellect that I'm seeing some of these people that for a lot of my life I haven't seen before, and that's something that gives me hope for the future, just being around these kinds of people. But another thing that gives me hope for the future, long-winded answer is all I've been on this call tonight, but another thing is, I think that humanity, as time progresses, grows to have a more open-minded attitude. And we talked about open-mindedness and keeping a positive outlook on life. That's been, speaking of themes of the phone call. That's been one of them, themes of the conversation. But also in watching some of these documentaries that I mentioned, I was watching and diving into different periods of history, mostly American history. I've seen how as we go from like the 18th century and moving on to the time that we're in now, the the attitude and regard for one's fellow man and the value of a human life has increased over time, and that can be summarized into, these days I feel like the percentage of people that are accepting of each other's differences is higher than it's ever been, and I think it's only increasing. And so those are two things that give me hope for the future, and hopefully we can continue that trend, and hopefully it's my goal for everyone listening to this. If you've made it through this 2 hours and whatever we're at by now, to it's my encouragement. 2 hours 20 minutes. It's my encouragement to you, dear listener, to always keep in mind that if you realize that you are the best in a room, get out of that room and find a new one.
Yeah, Ian, I think you put that really well, and I especially appreciate the point that you made of people accepting other people's differences, and I think at its core, that's what makes America America. Where I'm sure other countries to an extent as well. I don't want to diminish them, but at least in terms of my perspective, I think one thing our country has historically done incredibly well is take people as they are, and welcome to the team. And we appreciate your differences because our diversity, in effect, is our strength. The diversity of thought is what has gotten us to where we are today. So I definitely appreciate that perspective. And I agree that I think that now more than ever, people are more aware of that fact. I've to your one of your points. I've been watching a lot of the Ken Burns Civil War series. So thanks for turning me on to that. First off, but second
that makes
off,
me happy because that's a beautiful, beautiful documentary.
oh, it's so great. It just it's such a poignant reminder of what can happen here in the United States if we let things maybe get to a certain get too bad between, if we forget that we have more things in common than we do in difference. And I think that's kind of what you were getting at in terms of, while we may be diverse and while we may different people come from all these different places and have all their different backgrounds, at the same time, people just, at the end of the day, they probably want just a couple of things, and right, and that's they want to be safe, they want to have enough food, they want to make sure that they're all right, and that they can go about life as they wish. And I feel like a lot of those things are uniting factors in spite of differences, as opposed to factors that are too different to unite over. So, I think here in the U.S., the fact that we come from so many different backgrounds is absolutely a strength that I think, unashamedly here in the United States right now, we do better than anywhere else in the world.
It's a fair point.
And I guess I also appreciate the fact that, all three of us here is like a microcosm of that thought. Like, we all come from fairly different backgrounds, right?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. So from, California, Texas, and Mississippi, those aren't, I mean, I guess you could say generally they're more towards the south of the country. Like, okay, I'll give you that. But that fact doesn't necessarily unite us in any way. And yet we've had all of our different perspectives, different life experiences, different trajectories even, and we're still able to come here and have an absolutely beautiful talk together. And I love that fact. And I honestly think that any three of us could have this conversation or a conversation like it with just about anybody in the world. So that's something I certainly appreciate.
Wholeheartedly on that one. And I will resound that. And White, I think we spoke a little about this when we did our little humanist podcast, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, you know, it's in the world, the big things that are highlighted are, your differences with other people. But I would argue that the similarities that you can share with other people completely outweigh the differences. And that if anyone out there who is listening, if you just take an extra 2 seconds to try to find something to connect with another human being, what you will gain is so much more than what you think you might gain from a disagreement. You could say, "Oh, I disagree," and get into an argument. You gain nothing from that. But what you gain from like truly building a good relationship with someone who disagrees with you, I mean, that is just miles above what you'll gain by focusing on differences. So just to resound that point that no matter where you are, what you come from, what you believe, or whatever, you can still come together and agree on these. I would argue the transcendentals of life, the true, the good, and the beautiful that of this world, because that is something we can all agree upon. Is when we see truth and goodness and beauty, it's true, it's good, and it's beautiful. There's no really doubt about that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way of putting it, Sully. I like that.
Like that a lot. And responding really quick, even though all three of us hail from different backgrounds and different parts of the country, we still, through those different upbringings, we all have similar outlooks on life, relatively similar, and similar interests, and more than enough stuff to fill an entire podcast length of a conversation. And that just comes to show that our personalities are a lot closer than our upbringings might suggest. And that is a beautiful thing. That's really neat. And those are the kinds of things that tie humans together. So just appreciate you guys.
I appreciate you too, man.
Likewise, good sir. Likewise, gents.
Well, boys, as we start to wrap up a little bit here, as always, I ask a couple questions, and that usually what they fall along is one: have you read anything good recently? And two, do you have any final thoughts for anybody listening here? So, whoever wants to take that away first, please go ahead.
I'm willing to jump in on that. So as far as reading, a recent book that I finished, it was actually a reread. I hate to admit, but Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. I love that book. As McConaughey describes it, it's an approach book. I love his method of storytelling. It's story after story, and they're fascinating. And he's just a born storyteller. And I really enjoyed the lessons learned and the wit and the anecdotes in that. And even if only 60% of the stories that he shares are even true, it's still quite a life. So that was a fun one. The one I'm reading right now, I'm very excited for. It's from a classic, newer, I guess, age American author, Hunter S. Thompson. It's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And I've heard a lot about this book. It can get pretty dark. Basically, he was an investigative journalist as well as a uniquely American author, and he actually embedded with the Hells Angels biker gang. And this book is about his time as among them. So already pretty harrowing. I'm about a third of the way into it. So those are some interesting reads that I've jumped into lately. And as far as parting thoughts, I just want to reiterate the motif of any situation, any place, any conversation even can be a theme park if you have the right mindset. So keep an open mind. Initiate conversation. Don't wait for someone to initiate conversation with you. Compliment somebody on what they're wearing, their decision to get the double stuffed Oreos instead of the regular Oreos in the supermarket because we all know the double stuff is better. It's literally double, twice as good. So um, find small talk, and you'll be surprised what it can lead to. And never forget to uh, treat people the way that you would want to be treated. Give and never waste an opportunity to give somebody a smile. So I feel like I'm giving parental advice, but I'm just trying to say some things that have really been on my heart for about the past week and a half. So, and with that, Godspeed.
Love that. Thanks, Ian.
Absolutely.
Love it too. That was good. I love that's quite beautiful, good sir.
I try.
Ooh, so I guess the spotlight's on me.
Sure
I
is.
guess so. I guess so.
That's the real reason I went first.
So, good books. God, you both know I'm a voracious reader. So, let's see. I've read 5 books since the beginning of the year. So I'll start with the one I'm actually currently on, that I'm reading for the 5th time in my life, and that is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I think I've spoken about this several times to both of y'all. How I will die on the hill that it is the single greatest book of all times. And yes, it is one single book written in 3 parts. But anyway, and specifically, there was a moment in it, because just like watching a movie over and over again, every time you reread something, rewatch something, etc., you pick up on new things. And there was a one conversation that really stuck with me when I reread Lord of the Rings this time. And give me 2 seconds, and I can remember. Okay, it was y'all both like either read or watched Lord of the Rings, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. So you know the moment when they are leaving Lothlorien, and Galadriel gives the gifts that she gives to the Fellowship. So she gives, she gives the Pippin and Merry their little swords. She gives, in the movies, she gives Sam the rope. In the book, she gives Sam a box of dirt, and she gives Legolas a bow, and she gives Gimli. Do you remember what she gives Gimli? Locks of her hair, 3 strands of her hair. And it was because Gimli had thought that, of course, you gotta remember, Gimli's a dwarf, and so he has this aversion to elves, and he meets this elf, a supposedly elf witch, and he is like, wow, she's actually beautiful. But what struck me there was a specific paragraph in the book, and if I can remember it, I think I can remember it. It was Gimli was speaking. "Tell me, Legolas, why did I come on this quest? Little did I know where the chief peril lay. Truly, Elrond spoke, saying that we could not foresee what we might meet upon our road. Torment in the dark was the danger that I feared, and it did not hold me back. But I would not have come had I known the danger of light and joy. Now I have taken my worst wound in this parting, even if I were to go this night straight to the Dark Lord. Alas for Gimli, son of Gloin." And that stuck out with me so much, because in the world we live in, it's easy for people to look more towards, oh yeah, I'll fight the torment and I'll fight the darkness, and oh, it's a dark and dreary world. But that light and joy, and something very early on in the conversation made me realize how scary light and joy is. And why is light and joy scary? Well, it's because you know that darkness will come pretty much. And, for example, the scariness of joining this lovely conversation with y'all is knowing that it's going to end. And the scariness of going through making new friends or, building relationships is knowing that you're going to, it's not that it's going to end, but maybe it just goes to the wayside for a little bit. But it struck me so much, that single quote of just, had I known the danger of light and joy. And I love that. And so that leads into my message to my viewers, and this is where my Catholicism will really show. And that is, to the people out there, don't be scared of light and joy. Don't be scared of that which is good and beautiful. Because we've talked about, through our conversation tonight, we've seen just how much it means in the life of each of us, that good and that true and that beautiful, that light and that joy that we can get. And even though we have both all reminisced on how at times we have felt sad because we no longer have that, or we no longer are in the moment of experiencing that light and joy, we can rejoice at the memories of it. And with anything in life, just remember that never be afraid of light and joy. There's a wonderful quote, you can forgive a child for being scared of the dark, but the true tragedy is when a man is scared of the light. And so yes, to also to add on to that motif of tonight, and that is this time you get to spend with people. It's important. It matters. And you, to the viewer, to all of the millions of white subscribers, you are the poet of your life, and therefore you have the absolute power to call forth the riches of creation. And so, as the poet of your life, I encourage you, call forth and encounter light and joy in every moment of your life that you possibly have a chance to experience. And I'll leave it at that, good sirs. Godspeed.
Absolutely beautiful, Sully.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, both of y'all, as always, blow me out of the water with the depth that y'all go to. So, thank y'all for imparting that knowledge and that honestly that wisdom to all the 100 viewers of the Pi Phi Tai YouTube channel.
If I could be half the philosopher Sully is, then my heart would be full.
Aw. You flatter me. Get away with this flattery.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, boys, I don't normally do this. I don't think at least my 2 cents on books plus messages, but honestly, 2 things have just been on my mind recently. So I just recently finished, and I think I told y'all both this separately, For Whom the Bell Tolls by Ernest Hemingway. And I really like that book. Actually, I was surprised to find out that this book was so controversial amongst readers. But I wanna take an excerpt. This is from not even the beginning of the book. This is from the from the namesake of For Whom the Bell Tolls. It's a poem by John Donne, which first off, cool name. Second off, we'll get into it here. He says, "No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less. As well as if and I'm going to fuck this word up, promontory were, as well as if a manner of thy friends or of thine own were, any man's death diminishes me. Because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never sin to who know to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee." And the main message I get for that is, all of us are a part of something so much greater than ourselves. A legacy of our ancestors and all the people who made us to where we are today. And so with that, the thing that's been on I guess my mind recently is actually one of Jesus's famous commands, which is love thy neighbor as thyself. We kind of talked a little bit about that earlier, just with how so many people are so much more accepting nowadays of things like diversity. I think that my charge is to absolutely lean into that, right? I think that at least, and I don't tend to talk about religion much on the channel, but my 2 cents here is I think that everyone has the spark of the divine, the Holy Spirit within them, and so recognizing that goodness that is inherent to every person, and treating them like they're worth that, because I feel like if you truly believe there's a spark of God in somebody, then you're never going to treat them poorly. So treating people excellently and being more than just nice to each other, but being kind to each other is paramount, especially when it's so easy to make snap judgments because of things like social media or whatever. Taking that extra moment to be kind to one another, regardless of one's gender, race, religion, etc. So those are my 2 cents.
I think what a way to end it.
Oh, for sure. That I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, boys, it's been a beautiful 2 hours, 39 minutes, and 11 seconds of chatting. But we'll at least for the podcast end it here. But I am, again, and I mentioned this at the beginning, so incredibly grateful that we were able to spend this time together and chat for so long. 2 hours. I know in the grand scheme of things, 2.5 hours is. We could obviously spend way more time on this, but at the same time, I'm so glad that we were able to, in our all of our very busy schedules, find 2.5 hours that worked for everybody. So, thank y'all very much for joining me and for being open to talk. And as always, gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise, good sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, the pleasure's on our end. And by all means, this is, I feel less like, despite telling everyone under the sun today that I was going to be the guest on the podcast this evening, it feels anything farther than that. And it feels just like catching up and like conversation. And like I said earlier, I would love to make this a once every 2 weeks, once a month, whatever. Just, I feel like the flow would only become more natural. And I feel like it would be a wonderful thing to stimulate our minds in such a way, which you guys do so naturally, but I find myself in a drooling mess half the time. So this would at least be good for my mental stimulation. So I propose that we do this more often. And,
I second it.
Yeah, I
it.
third that. I've never been so engaged while like tipsy and drunk, so I
Yeah,
appreciate it, boys.
And that reminds me, the Pacifico is finished, so I can report.
Hey, look at that! Oh my gosh,
Beer number 2 is down. So I was taking part over the course of over 2.5.
Yeah,
hours.
beer an hour. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
We take that.
Yeah. What seems to be the officer problem.
Yeah, something like that.
All right. Godspeed, gentlemen.
Godspeed,
good
boys.
sir.